All right, thank you so much to everyone joining us today. For anyone not familiar with the GVSU Art Gallery, we are a campus department that collects, cares for, exhibits, and fosters the interpretation of artwork across campus. If you've ever been inside a campus building, you'll know that art is everywhere. Our art collection includes more than 20,000 works of art. We also host multiple exhibitions each year here at the Haas Center for Performing Arts Gallery in Allendale and in smaller untraditional spaces across campus. We visit classes, we host events, and provide learning resources related to all of the artwork on campus. There's a lot more information on our website, including a list of other upcoming events, so be sure to follow us on social media at GVSU Art or visit gvsu.edu/art gallery. I'm so thrilled that you are all interested in this exhibition and all of the content that we have to share with you for it. Artists grant us the rare privilege of seeing through their eyes. Vera Klement's paintings show us a powerful personal vision of what she conceives with her mind's eye. In a career spanning over 6 decades, Klement's work reflects an amalgamation of her many influences. From classical music to literature to modern art, these themes are filtered through her early formative experiences fleeing the Nazis with her family just before World War II, and a lifetime examining that loss of home and identity. This event will feature a few of those influences, including a poetry reading and a performance by the GVSU Chamber Ensemble. And we'll begin with a screening of the 2011 documentary, Vera Klement, Blunt Edge, by Wang Zhongbei. All right, I hope you all enjoyed that brief documentary as much as I do. I've seen it a handful of times now, and I still find it riveting. We're going to transition now into sharing a spoken poetry reading with you all. I'm so thrilled that Madison is joining us for this. She's going to read an original piece of writing. Madison is in her second year here at GVSU as a biochem major with a minor in writing from Sterling Heights, Michigan. And the piece that she's going to read is titled "The Trees Watched." And I should mention that it's right, Madison, it's in response to this piece behind me.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, please, everyone, welcome Madison and go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. Okay. In the clearing along the shoreline stood 3 peaceful trees. Bathed in an afternoon glow, they observed the ever-changing world around them. The forest was peaceful, the water was calming, the sun was comforting. Content, the trees watched. They watched as birds flittered from branch to branch, as leaves changed color, fell off, then grew back again, as wind, sometimes calm, sometimes violent, blew them every which way, as rain quenched their thirst and the sun warmed them to their roots, as the light filtered between them, spotlighting flowers and creatures alike in golden glory. As children played on their branches, giggling with unbridled joy, splashing in the water without care in the world. As teenagers snuck back there with lovers and friends for some privacy away from the world's watching eyes and listening ears, unaware the trees were fully privy to their secrets. As parents set up picnics with their kids, sitting back in contentment to watch their hearts explore the shoreline. Pleased, the trees watched. Then, silent and unmoving, the trees soon bore witness to more horrors and heartbreak than they had ever seen before, to men being forced to dig their own graves and enter them just moments later, to the leaves on the forest floor becoming painted with a thick coat of innocent blood, to that blood splattering on their trunks, seeping in so deep that no matter how much rain poured, the stains would never go away. To children running, but with fear in their eyes rather than mirth in their hearts, to teenagers hiding behind them, finally able to collapse and let the tears and grief pour out of them, to be lost to the lake as gunshots and screams echoed in the distance. To parents' heart-shattering goodbyes to children they'd never see again. To the acts of people less human than them. Devastated, the trees watched. More than anything, the trees wished to wrap their branches around the people in offer of rare solace, protection, peace, and comfort, yet they couldn't do a thing but bear witness to it all. The trees endured this pain for years and years. New leaves would fall just to be painted in blood again and washed away, leaving only the trees' testimony as proof. Heartbroken, the trees watched. Eventually, the grown children and teenagers came back. They greeted the trees with a reminiscent fondness, tinted with sadness. Once again, the trees were witnesses to laughter and joy and secrets and love, yet they would never forget. Critters would scurry along the forest floor, and the trees would remember the blood and the men resting not 6 feet away. The waves would lightly kiss the shore, and the trees would remember how the lake grew with every teardrop added. In the clearing on the shoreline, the ageless trees grew and embraced the peace again, but never forgot the dark times that made the sunlight that much brighter. Quietly, the trees watched.
Thank you, Madison. Very powerful piece. I was really struck when I read your submission, and I'm so glad that you're willing to share that with us today.
Thank you.
For anyone watching, I meant to mention this earlier, but we will also be sharing a link to this event on YouTube and via our social media outlets later. So you'll have a chance to relive both the documentary and Madison's piece. So thank you very much, Madison. This is the point at which everyone would be clapping for you if we were here in person. So
Thank you.
so much. We'll also drop a link to the documentary in the chat here. It's on Vimeo. It's free to watch. I know there's a little bit of a lag between seeing it on the computer screen and seeing it through your Zoom feed. So at this point, we're going to take a little bit of a break and wait for our chamber ensemble to venture into the gallery. They'll be joining me in the gallery in the space that you see behind me.
Good afternoon. It's wonderful to be here. It's so great. First of all, I want to thank Amanda for allowing us to do this, to perform a great musical work surrounded by this great art. In 1960, the Russian composer Dmitri Shostakovich visited Dresden. He was there to write music for a film that was being done about tracking down priceless art that had been stolen by the Nazis in the war. He was so overwhelmed with the incredible desolation and devastation that he saw that was still evident 15 years after the firestorm that leveled Dresden at the end of World War II. So he couldn't write the commission, but instead he sat down and in 3 days wrote his string quartet number 8. He dedicated it in the memory of the victims of fascism and war. This string quartet was made into a version for string orchestra by Rudolf Barschai, which is the version that we'll hear this afternoon. As we can see throughout history, and in the works here of Vera Klement, artists often cannot separate themselves from the work that they're doing. This Good Friday, I'm reminded of Rembrandt's Raising of the Cross, where you see Rembrandt himself in his 17th century Dutch painter's outfit, right at the bottom of the crucifixion, the raising of the cross, which happened 16 centuries before. And he seemed to be saying, I was there too at that time, and it was me that helped nail him to the cross. In this work, we can see that Shostakovich himself identified with the victims of fascism. In fact, he said that he never went to bed at night without thinking that there might be a knock on the door that would send him to Stalin's gulag. And for something he did in the last composition, something that the authorities thought offended the state. So he took his initials in music, which many composers had done before, D for Dmitri and SCH for Shostakovich, and he made them into the motif that this work is based on. D, E flat, C, B natural, which in German is D, S, C, H, and you'll hear this ominous motif many times through the composition. In fact, the very first 4 notes. Chamber Strings is comprised of some of the finest musicians from the GBS Symphony Orchestra. I'm so proud of this fine group of young people who have really worked hard in a very limited rehearsal time to make this great work available for you this afternoon. There are 5 movements in this 25-minute work, and they're played without pause. The violin soloist is Ashley Grace Stevenson, and the cello solo is performed by MacArthur Wynn. Second movement will be performed in the original string quartet version by Ashley Grace Stevenson and Emily Morell, violin, Emma Bienowitz, viola, and Christina Lee Stevenson, cello. Now, Shostakovich Chamber Symphony, which is dedicated to the victims of fascism and war.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us. This recording will be available on our YouTube channel after we do some edits. And I know that everyone on Zoom is now clapping for you all. So thank you so very much.